I'd always wanted to raise money for charity. While I was working, I never seemed to have the time, so I thought this is the perfect time. And with the lockdown in March, like so many people, I tried to relieve boredom and find things to do indoors, and that's when I started doing a little bit of craft work. It sowed the seed of the idea of having a little stall outside my gate to see if I could sell some of the items and raise money for dementia. I had fallen in love with a little wagon, I call it a little wagon, and it's basically a converted dog cart. Travelled down to Margate to get it, and in fact the man gave us a very good price when he heard it was for charity. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 10 years ago. To watch his gradual demise was heartbreaking, and it's such a cruel disease. He was a very intelligent man, but we gradually lost the father we knew and loved, and he died sadly before Christmas. So it's a cause close to my heart. Dementia has touched so many people's hearts and families. There are so many people who say, oh, my grandmother had dementia, or my father's got dementia. So it's a charity that I think appeals to a lot of people. It was just amazing how it just grew. I thought, oh, I might sell a few odds and ends for a few weeks and that will be it. It's blown me away, to be honest. I would never have predicted in 6 months that I'd have raised £4,000. But at the time, it was gearing up to spring, and we had produce in the garden, so I started adding garden produce that was surplus. I made my Smartie cake, which was well known in the village. And then before I knew it, I would go out to the wagon at the end of the day, and things had been added. Craft work from people in the village. It was just incredible because it just took on a life of its own. It's amazing. I sometimes think, oh, I haven't got enough on there, everything's a bit depleted, I need to try and make some more things. And then I'll just get a delivery. It seems to be almost that they know. It's amazing how resourceful one can be and how much talent there is in just this village. And there were elderly ladies who were trying to do what I was doing, entertain themselves in lockdown and making, but with no outlet. And so I think it was a sort of reciprocal thing, really. They were having somewhere that they could put various bits and pieces they had made, as well as raising money for my charity. And my mother, it was rather lovely for her because in the latter 2 years, since my father became bedbound and unable to feed himself and unable to do very much at all really, her whole life was taken up with nursing him. And being housebound with him, she wanted something to do in the odd minutes while she was sort of sitting watching him or whatever. And my little charity wagon captured her imagination, and although she's got arthritic fingers and felt she couldn't do very much, I taught her decoupage, and she managed to then do these little recycled food tin cans, which actually gave her a lot of pleasure, plus she felt she was doing something towards dementia. So that was another lovely facet that had come from the wagon again. It's very much a family thing, really. Yeah, it's really nice. I've never rejected anything because I just think it's out of the kindness of their hearts. There's always a purchaser for what I've put out there. Eventually it gets bought. So, but I also think it's giving, like my mother, that person, if she's run out of children, young grandchildren that she can knit for, it's giving them an outlet and a reason to knit. To date, we've just got to £4,000. And I have to say that's not just from what I sell on the wagon. As I say, it's become a real community-owned wagon. The feedback has been incredible. I never ever anticipated it. The money has also come from people who have sold second-hand items on the Tatsfield website and put free but with a donation to Janice Akhtar's dementia charity. So money has been coming in left, right and centre. Another thing that was on my bucket list for retirement was to get a book in print. And I wrote this book probably 10 years ago, and I had tried it out on some of the classes at the primary school that I taught, just to see children's reaction. And it did always have a positive feedback, and they were engaged. So I suddenly had the idea, why don't I try and get my book in print, and then I could donate a percentage of that to the charity. That was another way of making some money. And I think the catalyst was my son Josh. He introduced me to a site where you can get children's illustrators, and it was incredible. And that's how I chose Maria, who was from Kazakhstan. And my son helped me with the page layout that I wouldn't have been able to do. And before we knew it, we had a book. I dedicated it to my mother. She's always been encouraging about me writing, and she was a great mum in the sense that she read lots of stories to us as children. It's her thing, actually, writing, so I think that's where I got it from. I had 800 books printed, and I've already sold 300, but that's just through the village store, which has been amazing, and word of mouth. What I feel is so wonderful is I didn't preconceive any of this. It just happened, the wagon was just an idea, then Aslan made it for me, and then it just took off, and then the community contributed, and as I say, it's had a life of its own. It's been perfect for me. It's kept me busy, and it's given me a focus, and it's given me a joy. I'm so grateful. I don't even feel it's kind of mine anymore. I feel it's a community fundraiser, and I think that's lovely. And as all the while it's supported, and I've got enough on there to sort of sell, then I'll carry on.